Greetings. Let's talk about the two ways to divide, quotitive and partitive. Partitive division means we are dividing into a number of equal groups or parts. Quotitive division means we are dividing into groups of a number of items. Both ways are so important for students to understand because we use one way when dividing by whole numbers and we use the other way when dividing by fractions. So dividing partitively means we're going to divide into a number of equal groups. So if I've got 6 divided by 2, we're going to have 6 items and we're going to divide them by 2 into 2 equal groups. So we'll have a group here and we'll have a group here. Quotitive division is when we divide into groups of. So if we divide by 6 by 2, we're going to divide 6 into groups of 2, which means that we'll have a group of 2 here and a group of 2 here and a group of 2 here. Now you'll notice we've got the same division number sentence or equation for the two different ways to divide. Now what you'll notice is this is also 6 divided by 3 and 6 divided by 3. That understanding comes a little bit later, around about year 2 onwards. So this way of dividing 6 divided by 2, we count the number in each group. So 6 divided into 2 equal groups gives us 3 in each group. This way of dividing by 2 into groups of 2, we count the groups. So 6 divided into groups of 2 gives us 3 groups. We use partitive division when we are dividing by whole numbers. So for example, if I wanted to do something like 16 divided by 2, dividing partitively, that would look like 2 equal groups. And because I will end up with 2 equal groups, I can also find a half of 16. For that, I can use the distributive property. So I can partition my 16 into, say, 10 and 6. I can then divide my 10 by 2 and halve my 10. I can then divide my 6 by 2 and halve my 6. I can then add the quotients and I've got my answer. So partitive division is used when we are dividing by whole numbers. Quotitive division is used when we are dividing by fractions. So if, for example, we have something like 6 divided by a half, we know that you can multiply the reciprocal or flip and multiply, but we want students to understand why that works. So partitive division means we are dividing into groups of. So when we have 6 divided by a half, we are dividing 6 into groups of a half. In other words, how many groups of a half are in 6? And there are 12 groups of a half in 6. Explicitly teaching the two ways to divide when students are young and then continually going over this all the way through their primary years ensures that students see division in the two ways. It makes dividing by whole numbers much more efficient because they're not trying to make groups of in their heads, and it allows them to understand division by fractions without having to go instrumental.